My name is Belle Grant, and I'm the mother of three daughters who went to Miss Morrison from a very young age. From the ages of, my eldest was 8, my middle one was 7, and the youngest one wasn't even starting. I grew up in the Philippines till the age of about 23 when I came to England, and I wasn't meant to stay, but I met my husband here, the father of my children, in London, and we lived in London for a while. But I actually graduated from the University of the Philippines, and I did literature and English. So I liked what the country that I was coming to was very ideal for me. That's it, and I have many hobbies. So while I was here, I was sewing. I was doing arts and crafts and things like that. Yeah, I took my children here when my daughter Angela was about 8, Rachel was 7, and Rebecca was only I think 3 years old. 3 years old, and I took them to ballet because I like ballet. I like dance. I like music. And also it was something that I wanted the children to do extracurricular activities other than just going to school and doing schoolwork. So, yeah. My first recollection of Miss Morrison was she was very welcoming. Actually, I was quite surprised how welcoming she was when she saw my 3 girls, because there were 3, you know. So, and she really wanted to teach them. That she said, because she wasn't available at that time when I first came, or the first day we came, and someone else was a young girl, a young teacher, not a teacher, but a young student wanted to teach my daughters, my 2 daughters. And she said no, she was going to do it. And, you know, I felt quite, ooh, she's very good, she's very keen teacher. She's quite strict, but very keen, yeah. I remember Tess very well. Yeah, she was the stricter one. She was really, yeah, she was, Miss Morrison was a little more gentle and smiled and, you know, kind, but Tess was stern. Yeah, she was strict. Yes, but she knew what she was doing, though. She was, yeah. It was very ideal, this room, because Miss Morrison liked to do. She just didn't like to do dancing on one spot. She wanted you to dance all over. She wanted you to use the space. She wanted you to improvise. She was very, very good about it. And she would tell you to do steps from one end of the room to the other, so, and to go around the room. She really liked, she taught her pupils to use the space and not just to use little steps and move around in the corner or a little space, because that's not really dancing. So, yeah. Yeah, she wanted them to use their imagination and use the space and movement, you know, a variety of movement, yeah. My daughters took up ballet. Miss Morrison's specialty was ballet, really, although she had a tap teacher. But she also, Miss Morrison knew a lot of national dances, especially the ones from Europe. Yeah, she knew that very well. And also, my daughters did exams. They did the Royal Academy of Dance exam. Miss Morrison was very, 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 very partial to just the Royal Academy, the RAD, and to her there was nothing better than that. So they did exams, although she also did exams for other ballet, ballet systems or ballet, you know, syllabus. But she preferred the Royal Academy, and my daughters did exams quite often, and competitions also, yeah. Miss Morrison had about 2 main shows a year. She had, it started with 7 days, no, 7 days or 6 day show at the Co-op Theater, which is now the Arts Theater, I think it's called. And then she had one in the Playhouse, yeah, for one Sunday. But it was full on, the one at the Arts, because we had the dress rehearsal, and then we would start the show. But then through the years, the days we didn't do 6 or 7 days. We did about 3 or 4 days show because it's getting too much, I think. So, and then she had little shows everywhere, here in the ballet school or in a little hall, or sometimes in nursing homes, little, or sometimes at the market square. Yeah. My role in the shows was mainly, I was involved because my 3 children were involved. Rebecca had lead parts, and the 2 others also had had a lot to do in the shows. But I was also involved backstage. I made a lot of the costumes over the years. I made so many costumes, not only for my children, but for the ballet school also, along with other moms who could sew. And also sometimes I would do props, you know. So I was involved with competitions. When the children would go for competitions, I would do their costumes and props and help out backstage. Just backstage work, really. And sewing at home till 3 a.m. in the morning. My daughters actually followed on with what they learned from Miss Morrison, the dancing and it wasn't only dance, actually. Miss Morrison shows that had drama in it. So incorporated in the shows where there would be a story, you know, usually the story is the same every time, but it would be probably set in a castle or something like that. Well, and there would be a story, and there would be a lead girl and a lead, she had adults also. And then the children, her pupils, would dance. It was mainly dancing, but there was dialogue in between and a story, so to allow also the children to change. So my daughters, my daughter Rebecca did a lot of the drama in it. She was usually the girl in the show. The lead girl or something like that, and but she also did a lot of dancing. So did my other 2. They danced a lot in the shows with the others too. Sometimes they would do their solos, sometimes duets, a lot with groups. It was the same for everybody, you know. They had their little solos, and then they had she would put them all in a group and do a big ballet number or something like that. Yeah. The 2 older ones, Angela and Rachel, actually went to do the performing arts. Yes, they went to London. Angela went to Elmhurst Ballet School, which is in somewhere in Surrey, I think, you know. And she boarded there, so it was a very good ballet school. And she went on to do a little bit of modeling and performing, but then she went to the Philippines and she did a lot of modeling there. And then she started a little ballet school there, and in my father's house, yes, with about 12 pupils, I think, locally. And after a couple of years, or 3 years, she came back to England and she opened her ballet school here in London. And she now has a big ballet school, Angela Grant School of Dance. She teaches RAD, like Miss Morrison did, because she did that course too, that diploma course. And she now has, she tells me, 250 pupils. Yes, she teaches also at schools, after school, so she considers those her pupils too. And then she has a show every 2 years. And it's very much similar to how Miss Morrison did her shows. It's quite sweet, actually. It's like going back, years ago. And Rachel also went to performing arts school in London. She went into drama more. She did a lot of modeling and commercial modeling for Lynx, that kind of thing. And she was always employed actually too. She was working. It's very hard in performing arts to carry on working. But she did that, and eventually did films here and there. And then she's the one that got into the James Bond film, Die Another Day. Yeah. And until now, her role there, she was, what was her role? Peaceful Fountains of Desire. That's what she was. It was a nice part with Pierce Brosnan, actually, the two of them, yes. And it was, it's been she's been very blessed with it, very lucky with it, because she still has, because of the James Bond thing, and she has other parts that came along and got invited to many events. She does signing in Bond events, that kind of thing. Yeah, she gets invited a lot. She now lives in New York. She's married there. Both my eldest children have got children now, doing. I think Angela's eldest daughter helps with ballet school too. Although they are at university, she's at university with the other daughter, and my youngest daughter Rebecca, who stayed with Miss Morrison a long time, because Miss Morrison really used her in her shows. Now Rebecca got her London West End job when she was about 19 years old. One of her first jobs was Andrew Lloyd Webber's Bombay Dreams. Yeah, she was in it for 3 years, I think. And then she did a lot of theater in the West End and touring around England and dancing or drama, because she went into acting as well. And then she did films. She's done films, but one of her biggest film job was on TV. Actually, she was in Holby City for 3 years. She was a Filipino nurse there, Holby City. So she's still doing TV every now and then. She would get she'd get roles in Midsummer Murders and Doctors, or I can't remember. I haven't even seen them because sometimes I don't know when they come out, so I don't see them. And she paints now. She's selling her paintings. Yeah, she's always painted since she was little. She sells paintings. Her paintings are really big. Yes. At the same time, she auditions, and if she has the job, then she does it. I don't know how she does. She has 2 children now. Yeah. Miss Morrison actually was a really big influence in our lives. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I think everyone will say that, She was strict, but she also, you could tell that there was something so sensitive and tender about Miss Morrison. Even me, I didn't dance, but she allowed us to watch over there. Look, over there. She allowed us to watch each time. And we couldn't say anything much, but we watched, and because many teachers do not allow you to watch, yeah? So she allowed us to watch, and I always watched, and I learned a lot. I really learned a lot from Miss Morrison. And she eventually became a friend, because she would invite us to her house, and then we would take her home, actually, from here, because we were here nearly every day or every other day, because there's 3 of them, so they were in different grades. Yeah. But Rebecca was the one that stayed here the longest, and she started when she was 3 or 4, because she was watching all the others dance, and she wanted to participate. She was very quiet, but she wanted to join in already, and at that age. And Miss Morrison Miss Morrison actually is a very understanding woman deep inside, even if she wanted a kind of, she was the teacher and you were the pupil and you're the mother. You don't kind of tell her what to do, you know? You didn't do that, but I found her very understanding, to us anyway, to me and my children. She was really marvelous. And she actually fired the imagination of the girls, you know? And even now when my children and when we kind of, because we also did our own little shows, because I was very active in the Filipino community, and any community that involved dancing or art or something like that, I would join in. And even now when my children, because they also did shows, when my children do little shows of their own or anything, you could see the influence of Miss Morrison, the way they did things. Everything was coming from the imagination and the creativity that she really touched, you know. She really tempered that, and it came out. And I think she was really the right teacher for my girls anyway, and for all of us. When we met recently, the girls from the ballet school who are still friendly with me and my daughters, we didn't stop talking about Miss Morrison and Miss Des, yeah, because the influence of someone like her. She was 90. She was teaching till she was about 97. Yeah, and you couldn't tell her she was wrong in anything, you know. Yeah, if I didn't have Miss Morrison, I don't know, because you know, we all have problems in life. And if I didn't have Miss Morrison, I thought, oh gosh, you know, she was the one that really lifted our spirits and made us very creative. One thing, Miss Morrison and Tess were, their work ethics, that was incomparable. You know, it is like the old-fashioned type where hard work is the main thing. You worked hard, everything. They worked so hard, so we also had to do it. She didn't accept anything else. She didn't want to know about homework or anything like that. If you had homework or you had an exam, so what? You have to come and dance. That was Miss Morrison. Oh my goodness, yeah. Until now, we're still influenced a lot by her. Until now, yeah. 40 years. That's a long time, yeah. But I remember Miss Morrison saying, you know what? You don't have to talk about your children or brag about your children. She used to say things like that. You know, people can see. You know, you don't have to do that. You know, she was a marvelous woman. She really was. She was one of a kind. You know, she lived near Goose Fair, somewhere here, and we would go from her house, which was really spectacular inside, you know, because she had all Christmas lights, all her decorations were from Harrods, and you'd come out from that house and go into Goose Fair. My goodness, you know, it was like my children used to say, it's like we're in fantasy land. Yes, everything was about creating, opening up your heart and dancing with your heart with expression, and you know, firing your imagination and your creativity. That was important to her. She didn't just like steps and, you know, counting and all that. No, it was more like what comes from here. Never mind about technique so much, but what's important is if you dance from here. That is actually what gets you into the professional stage anyway. So yeah, what you have here. Maybe if someone were to ask who was the most influential person in my life and my children's, apart from parents, of course, it would be Miss Morrison. Honestly, you know, we were here for years. Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about Miss Morrison and my children a lot in connection with Miss Morrison is because I can talk about it properly and from my heart, because she really did influence us. There's a couple of things in my life that happened, and if it were not for Miss Morrison, maybe, I don't know. You know, being in a country where I didn't have my parents, I didn't have relatives around Nottingham, you know, I had to bring up 3 children and see them through. But they were, and she taught them discipline. She taught them a lot of things, you know. I think if you were to speak to my children, especially Rachel and Becky, because they stayed here longer than Angela. Angela left for Elmhurst, you see. Elmhurst Ballet School, which is a very good ballet school. But now Angela does her own shows in her ballet school. It's very much like Miss Morrison. There's a story, and then there's all the dancing, or, you know, incorporated into the story. All the Miss Morrison stories were always very like, I don't know, it was, she did her own stories, you know. She wrote her own stories. She wrote a book too. You know that, don't you? Yeah, she wrote a book. And then Des was the treasurer and the one in the reception. But she knew a lot about dancing too. She actually made sure no one hurt Miss Morrison or, you know, she was very protective over Miss Morrison. So that was quite sweet. Anyway,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you very much, Belle. That was lovely.
The piano used to be there.
Yeah,
Miss Morrison used to sit there.
exactly.
Yeah, when she was younger, she had a stick. Did you know that? She had a stick. You can't do that now. And then as she got older, she could walk.
Yeah.
She sat there, and we all used to sit there. Did you know that there was a ghost here? We used to have a private lesson really late, like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Yeah, we would go home and come back, and we were sat there outside, and there were chairs there, and for some reason Miss Morrison was not here. I think there was no teacher for some reason. It was just me and my other daughter and a friend outside there. This was shut. That was closed. And Rachel, my middle daughter, came in here. She was about 12 maybe or 13. And she was dancing. As I told you, they love to dance around. Miss Morrison taught them always to dance around. And she did a pirouette. And then did that at the end. And then she heard from there, you know, flat. And she dashed out and she said, Mommy, I'm sure I heard somebody clap after I did a pirouette and did this. You know?